Gear and Beer.
Welcome back to Gear and Beer. Today, our esteemed guest is the legend from LA, Mr. Mike Khalil. Khalil on that. Thank you for coming, bro. Cheers.
That was a good
Cheers. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I try to Michael Buffer my way through the beginning if I feel it, and I felt it. Welcome back. You know, get that whole. It's like part Keith Whitley, part Michael Buffer. You know the the Daryl Singletary
growl.
was the best one.
Oh, I love that.
Every
voice.
note starts.
Yeah,
here.
yeah. The John Anderson kind of too. Maybe he's more airy. I guess. I don't know.
He's kind of like this.
Welcome to Gear and Beer.
There's no Luke Bryan without John Anderson. They have Luke Bryan is like a refined John Anderson.
Really,
it's like a better John Anderson.
Oh wow.
In my opinion, they have very similar vocal timbre, if you will.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm a fan of both.
Yeah.
You will not find any hate of either of those people on this podcast, or really anybody else. As you well know, and other people who work in the Nashville scene, a lot of people get like real particular about, they want to draw lines in the sand of what is acceptable, what they will be happy about listening to or playing.
Right.
That all seems very exhausting to me, so I can say we can just like what we like and move on with our lives. What do you say, Mike?
I agree.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers.
Thank you for coming, man. I appreciate you making the trek up here. You brought a telly.
Absolutely.
You brought a few repeater boxes.
Yes, sir.
And filtering mechanisms, etc. We had some tacos. We've had a beer. We're just hanging out. We did a little jam. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So let's just get right to it, man. You're from, as I said, from LA. Do you come from a musical family? That's a question that I've been finding myself wanting to know the answer to lately.
Yes and no is the answer. My immediate parents were not musicians, but my two uncles on my mother's side are great musicians. My uncle Bob is a bass player. He had a band called the Elm Street Band growing up, and they were
classic
great.
Band name.
Yeah,
it's a good name. It's a very classic thing.
The
Elm Street Band. That's classic, bro.
Yeah, they're killer. And his brother, the youngest of their family, was my Uncle Kenny, who was like an amazing guitar player, piano player, producer. He was like a session guy, but he worked for AT&T and like some phone companies. He was really successful.
Tech smart.
He was tech smart, but man, he was he was a beautiful musician.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
man.
Really inspiring.
Was guitar what you started playing, the first instrument?
Yeah. Guitar was the first instrument I picked up. I think I picked it up at a summer camp one year when I was like 12, and somebody showed me the intro to a Korn song that was popular at the time called "Falling Away From Me." And I just got hooked. I asked for one for Hanukkah, got a guitar for Hanukkah, started taking lessons. And then I had a friend whose mom gave me the sheet music to Eric Clapton's Unplugged.
Oh, yeah, that book?
Yeah.
Dude, I had that book. That was a great book.
Yeah,
Signy? Did you learn Signy?
Oh, yeah.
What a cool little pattern. That was like, it was cool, and it was like a little harmonic complex, but like I could still get my
really
stupid little
kinda
pans around it, you know what I mean?
I kind of wrote a tune that was like really similar, and I wanted to have that like weird belly chimey thing in it. God, it just reminded me of that song. I hadn't thought of it forever.
That's a great nylon guitar.
Oh.
I don't even know what guitar that is. I've never looked into it.
Oh, and I started on nylon guitar. That
Really?
was my first. Yeah, it was a Chinese nylon guitar that my mom had got from the swap meet.
Were you playing like classical and like doing classical lessons?
I actually did have a classical teacher. His name was Jim Fagan. Shout out Jim.
Don's brother?
No, unfortunately. But
That'd have been badass.
yeah, right.
I wish he had a brother.
He actually taught me some like Windy and Warm was like one of the songs, and like some Nashville type of picking stuff. He was really big into Jerry Reed. And
Smart.
yeah. And once I got started on that Clapton book, thank you, Lyndon. Appreciate it. Water break.
And scene.
I kind of figured out how to solo a little bit on some blues.
That's dope.
And 8 months into playing guitar, that's when I was like, oh, okay.
Like here, this is where it's at.
Pedal to the metal, like, let's jam. Like, it's on, you know?
That's dope.
Yeah.
Did you ever do? Oh no, you did. You said you went to MIT, right?
Yeah, I went to it was MI Musicians Institute. Yeah,
MIT is the one in Boston,
right.
And I'm back. Massachusetts Institute of Technology is what I'd said, and that's not what we're talking about.
Right.
You went to Musicians Institute.
Yes.
Do you know Matt Hornbeck?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. He's a buddy.
Oh, man.
He's a buddy of ours.
Okay.
He's a teacher there, is he not?
Yeah, I think he teaches there, and yeah, we've been on gigs together. We were kind of like running in the country scene at the same time out in LA.
I did not know that Matt teaches at MI.
I don't know. Shout out Matt Hornbeck though.
Yeah, Matt Hornbeck, one of the kindest souls and one of the heaviest guitar players that I know.
Oh, for sure.
Dude is, I believe the Beatles wrote a song about him, except for they got the masculinity wrong on the title in print for some reason. I don't know, but that's cool though. So you did the school thing. We were talking about nylon, and did you ever like get into like the Matteo Carcassi and what's the other dude? Recuerdos, De La Alhambra.
Oh man, I should know all this
Francisco. Anyway, Matteo Carcassi and the other guy that wrote the song Los Recuerdos de Alajambra. Like I got into that when I was teaching in my younger formative years. I was good enough to be a teacher, but I was the electric non-classical teacher, and there was a classical teacher, and he was like, "Oh, you got to check this out." And I've still over here on this shelf somewhere is a book of like all of those etudes. Dude, I love that stuff. It's so cool and it's so challenging.
Yeah,
I haven't thought about it in so long, but nylon string, and it called up those memories. So
Yeah.
you never went down that route?
Not by choice. There was a time where I had to do like my jury, and I had to do one of those etudes or something and learned them. But for me, the nylon was like the Jerry Reed, like country, like nylon stuff. I was super into the
cool.
thumb pick. Yeah, that always.
The thumb pick thing. Do you do the thumb pick thing?
Yeah, I use this Fred Kelly pick that's like a banjo pick. I think it's a.
When we were jamming just now, were you doing that?
No, I don't really do it like often, but I find on a nylon string like it really actually evens out like the tone, because sometimes the thumb is a little soft on a nylon unless you got the nails. Where
if you play it loud enough, you can find it like going slightly out of tune,
right?
Like thumping too hard.
Yeah, where on electric it kind of has the opposite effect, where it gives you that really like super staccato uneven thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I play like thumb pick on a nylon, like man, I just feel really at home.
That's pretty dope. That's like a whole different bag of like right hand technique to master though.
Yeah, when I first came to Nashville, I kind of took on Jerry Reed as like the hero that I should study, and I learned a bunch of Jerry Reed stuff, and that really just gave me like the ability to be more comfortable in that arena.
That's something that I see that you do a lot, which I think is something that slips by a lot of people, myself included sometimes, just getting busy and not taking the time to just go back and like shed old stuff. And like you're always like learning something new, and then like putting up videos of you playing freaking steel and guitar and just like shredding next to yourself.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And like, well, that's awesome. It's super inspiring, and I hope that it causes other people to pick up their instrument and be like, what was that song that I said I wanted to learn 16 years ago or whatever, and then like start and just learn that stuff. I've been threatening to go back and like relearn all the Rush guitar parts that I used to know.
Yeah,
like with the head for harmony that I have now, like understanding those parts that I knew when I couldn't play anything else really.
Right.
Again, down here in these shelves somewhere is like a couple of Rush transcription books.
Yeah.
And that's just super counterintuitive guitar playing to me, but it's so cool and it's so rock and roll.
Oh yeah.
like the tones, it's not, you're not reading that out of a book, but just like that's how you get that bag. It's like you learn those things. So props for doing that and spreading that to the World Wide Web.
Right on, brother. Thank you so much, man.
If you well, as always, there will be Instagram handles and stuff and all the show notes on wherever you're watching or listening. You can only watch on YouTube, but if you're listening anywhere, in all the show notes, I try to include at the very minimum Instagram handles and stuff. So you guys can definitely check out all Mike's cool stuff that he's putting up on Instagram, and presumably also there's YouTube stuff. Do you got a YouTube thing going on?
Yeah, a little bit. I pretty much just transfer the same videos from Instagram onto YouTube.
Are you doing the talk?
The talk?
Yeah, TikTok.
Oh, I'm not really. Sorry, yeah.
I heard
I'm not either.
talk.
I'm not on TikTok.
I heard
so.
TALK talk.
Yeah. I'm 33, so I'm like 3 years, too old for TikTok. I feel
Well,
like.
I'm older than that, but not very old at all. So call me for gigs. But I'm also not on the TikTok.
Call Rob for gigs.
Call me for gigs. I'm not that old. Would an old guy do this?
Yes, that's how to get gigs right there.
Hey, man. Hey.
No, call me, actually.
Hey, Bubba. You need somebody to play guitar for you? Call your boy.
Did you just wink with both eyes? I think
No,
that's
called a blink.
Yeah,
I think, but you got to do that on the talk.
I'm going to get on the talk and be like, hey, call your boy.
I'm not that old.
Not that old, not very creepy, no bunch of songs, got great tone, I got great chops, call me.
Yes.
I don't know who that is. I don't know what that character is that I just did, but
Man. Pro gear, pro attitude, though, right?
Yeah, for sure. Pro gear will travel, bro. That's where I'm at. So that's cool. So you went back to LA for a bit, but you're back here now, and you're doing the Randy Houser gig, which is awesome.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see this iteration of that band. I bet it's super killing. How much of the show are you spending? Because he plays guitar, obviously. How much of the show are you spending on the steel?
Not very much.
Really?
It's mostly guitar.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you have an entirely separate rig for your steel, or you got like a? You do?
No, that's a great question, though.
Okay. Well, some people don't. Some people do.
Yeah.
That are doing the utility thing. So do you have like an AB Y pedal or something on your board, and you kind of go between, or?
So after a lot of different iterations and using 2 amps and 2 rigs, and then deciding that was like just all too much gear and way too complicated for my simple ass,
Sure.
I tried to figure out a way that I could do 1 pedal board into 1 amp. And the reason I thought about it was because Mike Bork. Because if you ever seen Mike Bork downtown, he shows up with guitar and steel and 1 amp and a small board and just murders it. And I called him and I said, Mike, how do you do it? And he said, well, what you do is you take your guitar signal and your steel. Basically, what he said is you have to run your steel into the effects loop of some sort of pedal. For me, it's the HX Stomp. And when you set your amp, you set it to however it sounds good for the steel. And then with the guitar, you put like a light overdrive on the guitar so that the guitar has a little bit more of a grit, like
The saturation.
a little saturation where you want the steel to be perfectly clean. So,
Yeah, okay.
So here's how I do it. My guitar goes into my Cali 76, into a Tumnus, Wampler, Lightspeed, into a Dual Fusion, into
Hang
a
on,
volume
time out. I'm
pedal.
about to take a picture. and
Sure.
then that way I'll remember to stick it in the video.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this is really interesting and fun to talk about. I actually meant to make a YouTube video about what I'm about to tell you because I just think it's so cool.
Okay,
And,
cool. Continue. I'm sorry.
So then after the overdrive and volume pedal section of the pedal board, enter the HX Stomp. Now, what I do is I run the HX Stomp into the effects loop. I believe it's the left return or left send or whatever it is on the side here.
Okay.
So the steel enters there, so it doesn't see
Any
these
of the
distortion
overdrive
pedals.
So it's just the wet.
It's just the wet. Yeah, so then I get a dry steel signal here, and then it's shared. So at this point, you're hearing the steel and guitar, and then you can add delay, and you get the same delay for both, same reverb and tremolo for both, and it goes out into your amp, and it works great.
I do love how those Strymon pedals just
Oh,
fit
they
right
sound
up against-
so
and they sound great, but they also just fit right up against one another.
Yeah. I'm like
The same profile.
yeah.
And they make it to where it's all top mounted, and it just makes it. Whereas, not on this. Well, no, I guess that's true. I do have a couple of, or one. I guess I have 2 top mounted. Anyway, it becomes footprint problematic, as I'm sure you've experienced.
Oh yeah. I've been through tons of different footprints, but yeah, I got lucky with this board. Jackson Epley, the bass player from the Randy Band, actually gave me this pedal board. Wasn't using it, and it was just really great size. And
Those are great size.
fit. Yeah. And
Who makes it?
It's the RockBoard, I think, or Rock Gear. It's one of those 2 names. I think I'm not sure the exact size. I think it's 18 by 12. And it fits in my Pelican case, which, don't quote me on this, I believe is a 1515 or 1555. Dimensions are right there. And yeah, it's just awesome touring rig. Really happy with it. And I use a Chalks power supply, which I found have been really dope.
Really?
Yeah, it was
They're shielded and quiet and isolated and
quiet,
all
isolated,
the words.
low profile, and like they have like
It's
USB
under
outs.
there, I presume.
Yeah, it's under there, and it has like a 24 volt out, which like the Strymons I don't think have. And there was at one point I was powering my a Telonix volume pedal for my pedal steel, which was like some weird power, and that thing could do it, and like other power supplies were not able to do that. So that was cool.
I don't know of any other than I guess the Chalks that has a 24. I've got some that have 18.
RockBoard, by the way.
Huh?
It's RockBoard.
RockBoard, yeah. Shout out RockBoard.
Yep.
And they make the dope these thin patch cables that I'm using. Like,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Those dudes are really sweet. I think they're like the thinnest ones you can get.
I thought that mine were pretty thin, but yours seem to be thinner.
They are skinnier.
That happens to me a lot.
Shout out Chicago Music Exchange, hooking me up with that. Yep.
Do you know the brand of that cable?
It's the same brand actually. Rock.
Oh, it's the RockBoard cables.
Yeah.
Copy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I probably just missed that when you said it earlier.
Yeah, I was hip to the cables before I got the board.
Right on. Yeah, I've never heard of that. So I'll certainly do my diligence, and Lyndon made a note, so we'll post a link and
Sweet.
all the usual stuff like that. Are you taking multiple guitars out on that gig, or are you having to have like an E-flat guitar or 2?
Yeah, so I use this telly. This is my main.
Are you guys
X.
doing stuff in record key, or does he change keys?
He does change keys occasionally, but mostly it's record stuff. But there's a fair amount of.
Are you doing boots on an E-flat?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
It just has a certain balls to it in E-flat.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of E-flat stuff. So like I brought my 335 out for the rock stuff, and I leave that guitar in E-flat, and then this is my standard guitar, and then I have a Strat as backup in case I like break a string. That's in standard.
Can you hold up that guitar for us? So it's in frame. Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing that's really fun about the HX Stomp is it has like one of those transposer things. So like if there's a song,
which setting do you use?
The poly capo.
Okay.
On I believe stable or extra stable, I can't remember. But it's really good. Like if there's a song in B flat and you want to play it in A, you don't have to worry about a capo. You just hit the pedal and it sounds great.
It doesn't sound digitally manipulated.
No, and I was like a big fan of the Digitech drop, but you couldn't actually go up in key with the drop. You can only go down.
Yeah, the drop is really good, but yeah.
Yeah, and this, I mean, man, it's like 90% of the way there on like the stuff down. So
there's like I find that there's a slight latency.
Yeah.
It's not the worst, but you don't hear as much of the artifact, that like digital artifact.
The transient, the initial.
Well, no, there's this kind of like, Mike, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. There's a little drag.
There's like drag, and there's also like you know when a computer program like in your DAW, like a third party plugin like glitches, and you hear that like glitching sound.
Yeah,
it kind of does that.
Are you talking about the drop?
I'm talking about the HX Stomp. Like on some of the other settings, I don't know that I've used the poly capo.
That's the only one that I was aware that did that. But so I guess there's other ones too.
There's other ones. Yeah, there's the simple pitch, I think, and then there's poly pitch. There's a couple of different ones.
Oh wow, crazy! I'll have to check those out.
I mean, if yours is working for you, I would suggest not changing it. I've tried a few of them, and they did not work out great.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna check that one out.
Yeah, I mean, nothing beats like a guitar, it's already tuned to the right thing or whatever. But in a pinch, it's pretty badass.
Man,
that's interesting to know. I didn't know that it
that's
had
interesting.
that function.
I've been like struggling with capoing on gigs, and like I even bought one of those adjustable tension capos, and it still throws my shit out of tune, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
I bought a G7, I think it's called, and it's like gold because I'm like, I love gold, and like that thing, you put that on the first fret and it's pretty damn close to being in tune, but I still prefer just playing an A, because even if I'm playing a really simple chord progression, when I got a capo on, it's like going to the flat 7, it's like, A flat, oh my God, it sucks.
Yeah, I
just
feel
want to
that.
play A, G, D. It's just, thank God. Like
when you said I love gold, all I could think of was that that fake. It was a real news segment from Alabama.
Oh, the leprechaun.
Yeah. I'm gonna get a backhoe and uproot that tree because I want to know where the gold at.
Dude, that video is so
Anybody
classic.
see a leprechaun say yeah?
Yeah. Yo, it's classic. It's one of those.
This radio station that I listened to in Dallas went to that town and like interviewed the guy that was the leprechaun. And it was like, we may have been a little high or something. Pretty funny.
Well, we got to watch that after this. That's good.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
definitely. So anyway, sorry. That's how my brain works, is anyone who's ever watched this podcast or listened to this podcast.
Oh, and I also got the GFI Expo pedal steel out there with the...
It's that single joint, right?
Yeah, single neck.
With a pad?
No pad. Just 10 strings, 3 and 4.
10 strings and the truth?
10 strings and the truth. Yeah, 10 strings, 3 pedals, 4 knee levers, a volume pedal, some finger picks.
Oh, no vertical lever.
No vertical on that guy. And the truth.
Amen.
Yeah, it's fun.
The truth is the most important part, Mike.
Amen. Which is really just trying to play that damn thing in tune.
Well, yeah. So do you adopt the altered scent tuning?
Yes. I do the Jeff Newman. E9 sweetened tuning on the tuner. But recently I've been trying to tune it by ear, where I just get my E right on the money and then tune sort of different positions. So like the E chord open, F sharp, D sharp, A and B down, tune the changes, then F and A, and then tune that, and
I'm a dummy. Can you explain that? Is that like some equal tempered or well tempered type thing?
So basically, when you depress some pedals on a pedal steel, your guitar, fluctuates, it moves because of the tension. So you actually have to compensate certain notes. So not everything is 440. If everything was 440, when things started to move, as soon as you hit a pedal, it would be out of tune. So some, say opposing pitches are like, a little flat or a little sharp, and then you can kind of like nudge things in tune with your bar in certain positions.
I was just about to say, I know dudes who are his company that he Jeffrin, the Jeffrin College, Jeffrey Newman College.
Okay.
Anyway, that school of tuning, and then I know dudes who are just like, no man, I just tune it with a Boss TU3 or whatever.
Right.
And whichever way you do it, you're right, because your playing is used to whatever that is, and so you can probably play it in tune.
Exactly.
Whoever you are, if that's what you're used to.
Yes.
So I think it's probably just whatever makes you feel most comfortable.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that makes any sense to me, because I mean, again, dudes that definitely play in tune, that definitely do not follow that.
Right.
Because it's like, that your F sharp is 0.03 cents below.
Is that a left hand thing or a pedal thing?
It's a pedal thing.
It's like how hard you depress the pedal.
Well, no,
it's
you want to
just
depress it the full.
It's how it's just how the changer stretches the string, basically.
Right. Right. Yeah.
and what you're expecting, and you can tune the string at the headstock, and then there's a system of nylon tuners for the changers, and you can change each pull or push.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
you can change the like by intervals, or is it
No.
fine
It's just
tuning?
it's fine tuning. It's
like by
like
sense?
like a Floyd Rose.
Okay.
Yeah, by sense for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
And you got to turn it one way if it's a raise, and one way if it's a lower, and you better be real sober and on your game trying to tune it.
So wait, there are pedals that lower the pitch of a string?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, dude, I had no idea.
Most people have a left knee that left knee right raises, left knee left lowers.
Okay.
Your E's, which are
Oh, okay.
4 and 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I right there?
4 and 8 are your E's. Yeah. Left knee left raises the E's. Left knee left.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I had it backwards.
Left knee left. And then you're on your right knee right lowers your D sharp to C sharp and your 9th string D to C sharp.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Oh, so some levers will bend 2 strings?
Yeah. Yeah.
Blowing my mind right now.
Yeah,
It is way. I already knew it was complicated. It's way more complicated than I thought it was.
It is extremely complicated, and one of the reasons that I do most of my steel playing in this room.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not anywhere.
Yeah.
I think you know more about it than I do just talking to you. I mean, it's wild, man.
I love the instrument, and when I first got mine, I shed for like 6 months, and like I told you earlier, the first thing I learned how to play was the solo to Look at Us, John Huey on Vince Gill.
Yep.
Which isn't that complicated, but it's like a whole set of skills that it takes to play something like that I didn't have, except for when I was done, I could play that and I couldn't play anything else. I probably couldn't even transpose it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I had a certain ability, it was novice, but now I'm just like, I can squeak out parts here at the house with it. I don't have enough time I haven't spent enough time on it in the last
It's a constant
X amount of years, you know.
you got to put hours.
Use it or lose it too, for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Deer and beer.
Man, I mean, you look cool. You're at least not fat.
I mean,
God damn it! I wish I had been rolling on everything for that. I think I got your camera in this.
I'm kind of fat. Sometimes depends.
I mean, I'm less fat than I once was, but
Welcome back to Gear.
But you
and Beer.
wear it so well. I feel like you give yourself a lot of shit, but you're not like I don't ever.
it feels like my clothes are ripping off of my body because I am just
But it
too
looks
much
so
for
cool.
them.
Yeah, dude, you look cool.
You look
don't
cool
even
as
know
shit
it.
with a rip. You rock it, bro.
Well, part of the problem is this is my third beer, and I had rice and tacos.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know. Trust me.
I've been trying to figure out a workaround for eating before the podcast, but the vibe that is generated down there before we come up here just seems kind of helpful.
Yeah. Oh, it totally
Not that you and I have hung out many times and played gigs and whatever. But it's just like you know, just like easing into it. You know, just we've already come up with shit that we want to talk about, and then we just come up here and talk about it. It just makes it easy. Are we rolling right now?
Yeah, we're rolling. You
Fuck
got it
yeah.
empty?
Nice.
Not quite.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to hear what you said and think about it because I couldn't actually hear it because I've got my ears in.
And then I had to say it again.
Yeah, and that helped. That part where you repeated it was helpful. That's going to make for great audio. And I try not to edit anything out, so just so you know.
Let her rip.
You know, I'm trying to bring just like honest conversation amongst professionals because, like, yes, this is kind of formal, but like, I feel like anybody that's been on this podcast would agree that these are still the same kinds of conversations we would have if we met at the bar and grill down the street and we were having some wings and a couple of beers. We would still be talking about the same stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't be necessarily like interviewing you, and I think that that's part of it. You know, whatever. Anybody that cares where I'm coming from, I want to know details about the guest, but I also just kind of, you know, just the topics of conversation that seem to come up amongst colleagues or peers or however you want to put it. There's value in that for whether it's lower level players or players that are super pros, but like in a different way, in a different part of the country, or like I'm talking to people that are a lot of people based out of Nashville, but I've had some people from Dallas and other people that are, when they're in town, I try to talk to them. Mm-hmm. So it's I just feel like each person has their own insight, and it's like you have that conversation with that one dude after this one gig, and they say something, and you're like, holy shit.
Right.
Never thought about it like that. And it's just like, it helps everybody to grow. That's really what I'm trying to get out of this. So that being said, like, if you were to just be like, to give another pro, let's just say another pro, like a peer, if you were to be like, here's this thing that maybe you didn't think of that someone brought to my attention or whatever, like whether it's just like when you show up to a rehearsal, make sure you know the song or whatever, like, don't play too loud or don't play too much. Can you think of a piece of advice that maybe someone wouldn't think about and without being told it that you've learned somewhere along the way? Is that extremely obscure and long-winded question worth answering?
Well, no, not at all. It's a great question, and I wish I had a great answer for you.
Beer!
Yeah, Beezy.
Yeah, Beezy's.
There's so many like amazing nuggets of wisdom I've heard over the years and stuff. One that kind of helped me out one time, and this isn't a great example, and maybe I'll think of one as the podcast goes on, but somebody told me when you show up to a session to overplay on the first take. And I thought that was interesting because you can always take away from something than add it. So like when you show up in a room where like nobody really knows you, you just kind of want to give it, all you got on the first take. So they're like, wow, okay, like we can pick from that and take away rather than like not give it to them and be like, where's it at?
That's certainly an interesting approach. I could see the value in that. I've never applied that, so I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think I thought it was kind of cool to just go in there kind of like guns blazing on the first
It would have
pass,
to be like a give it your all while still trying, like honoring the song, you mean, or just check it out, here's 34 seconds of sweeping and tapping.
I don't think it'd be like just like going full like don't care, but I mean really just like digging
filling
in.
it up like nobody else is going to come behind you.
Not afraid.
Copy.
That
makes sense. But yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
That's a cool perspective.
That's
not what I thought you would say. I didn't know what you would say, but it wasn't that.
Actually, here's one that I would say. I would say know the rules before you break the rules, and I mean that in the when I talk about like transcribing or like learning solos. Or when it comes to improvising, like I'm very much of the thought that you should learn the way that somebody did it, especially on a solo, and really, honor that tradition before you move to like do your own version of it.
That's a great point. I could not agree more. I find myself saying that to people all the time. It's like, what you did was cool, but the starting place is exactly how that shit goes.
Right.
Once you've done that,
then go off.
Then from there, add your personality to that. But let's not ignore it. Never once learn it. Never once play it.
Right.
And ignore all the parts that whomever spent whatever amount of time, whether it was a fast demo session or whatever, the artist has played that song 7,000 times, listening to it and analyzing it, and they're expecting to hear a certain thing. So unless someone's told you otherwise, you assume that what you do is you play nails note for note to the best of your ability, note for note and tone for tone.
Yes.
And when you have nailed that to the cross and someone says, even if no one says anything, you let's just say you're just nailing it to the cross for a while, as they say.
Right.
Then if you let's say a few weeks or months or a few gigs down the road, you decide, you know, what would be cool is doing this here in this instead of what's on the record that I've been doing.
Yes.
And then somebody's going to be like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Because they know that you know the song.
Right.
They know that you're not a lazy person who declined to do their homework or whatever.
Right.
And it's just like trying to get a kid to eat their vegetables. You know, it's like, it's a lot about how you present it.
Yeah. Yeah.
To get them to take the first bite. So I could not agree more, man. I feel like I run into that a lot on certain gig situations where it's like everybody learned these songs and they show up and it's like they know the form and they know harmonically where chords are.
Yeah.
And that's about it. And it's just like, well,
right.
That's not really what we're asking for.
And I'm guilty of that too, like showing up on gigs and not knowing, you know, like all the fills and all the parts.
It's one thing if somebody's calling you to play a shift on Broadway. It's another thing if we're playing 45 minutes opening up for Tennille Towns or something, you know.
Right.
Or
you really
whatever.
got to know it. Yeah.
If you're not playing a cover gig and if you're playing a cover gig and you play in a cover band and you are playing the same songs every week, you know these songs are coming up no matter what.
Yep.
This band calls these songs, and you don't bother to learn those songs unless someone says, hey, don't worry about learning the way that goes.
Right.
Learn the way it goes.
Yeah.
It'll make you better.
Yeah.
It'll make you better. At the very least, you will have considered a nuance of a song that you had not previously considered, and it can make all the difference in the way it feels to the person singing it, that you're backing up or whatever.
Yes.
And that stuff is so important. It's another thing if somebody calls you at 2:00 and says, hey, can you come downtown and play at 6? And you're like, sure, who's in the band? And they say, 3 people that you've never heard of. And you're like, okay. And you get there and you don't know a song. Well, tough shit, because you called me at 2:00.
Well, yeah. Exactly.
So
that's different.
I can't imagine you having time to prepare and just showing up and not knowing something. You've got to be talking about a situation where it's like last minute, hey, can you come play this gig?
Well, we're talking about that too, but I'm really coming from the place of just learning classic solos even and playing like old stuff like the solo to like Working Man Blues. Like a lot of guys like just kind of like sort of learn the solo because it sounds easy and it's like a 1-4-5 and whatever. But like I'm pretty damn sure that like James Burton capoed the 5th fret on the record and played that, because like when I went to learn the licks of it, it was like
that's a very James Burton thing to do too.
Yeah, and played out of E in the key of A, because there's some dead giveaway moments in it, and it was like when I learned that or kind of figured that out, it was like, oh my god, like this is whole
I've not done that
new
kind
world.
of homework.
Yeah, I just doing that kind of homework for me is like I'm just like passionate about learning cool guitar stuff. But yeah, when it comes to
it shows
gigging
it shows in your playing for sure.
Thank you. But yeah, when it comes to gigging too,
thank you.
Absolutely. When you get on a good gig, man. Yeah, I mean, show up more prepared than prepared for everything.
Even if it's not a good gig, man. And again, if you agree to like play a showcase for $45, like you're still obligated to learn the material again, unless it's like it's 2:00 and we need you at 6:00.
I shouldn't say a good gig. Yeah, when you agree to do a gig, you're agreeing to learn everything.
Exactly. And if that gig sucks, don't do another one. But be prepared for the one that sucks.
Yep.
That has been my. It looks better on you. You'll feel better at the end. At least I don't mean to tell other people how they're going to feel. For me, that's the only way I can do it.
Yeah.
And that's what I expect from anybody that I hire.
Right.
And that's what I will deliver to anyone that hires me. And I've always said, like, whoever's on the other end of that phone, I want to be able to tell them yes. So that means that I better practice.
Yeah.
I better know how I learn so that when it comes time to learn, I can learn. And one thing that I have figured out is, like, I learned a set to go play with this artist in El Paso and Mesa in December, sometime in December, and it was some like it was like McHugh and I was playing guitars like Bukovac and McHugh and Slos and the bad MFs, and
Word.
it was so much more to learn, and it still somehow seemed easier than learning one of the like super poppy, ambiguous chord progressions that never change, and it's just like layers coming in and out.
Yeah.
And like that's so much harder for me to remember than
me too, man.
45 seconds of Tom Bukovac blazing. That's so much easier. Harder to learn, but once I figured out what's happening, it's like it's there because I just listened to it 600 times. First of all, but also it's like giving someone directions before GPS and be like the micro details and the small bits of information along the way go a lot of way towards making it easy to get from A to B, if that makes any sense. It's kind of a weird analogy, but knowing all those little and like having there be like, as opposed to let's say driving from Odessa, Texas to Midland, Texas, which is flat and straight and unremarkable in every imaginable way.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's like. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, and guys, gals, and non-binary pals.
That was a beautiful analogy.
Thank you.
Actually. Wow.
Thank you.
Okay, I get it.
I'm just trying to compare music to directions. I believe Luke Bryan did that in a very popular song by William Currington called Good Directions. Did you know that was Luke Bryan wrote that?
I didn't know that.
He wrote that song.
Wow. That's a great song.
It is a great song.
Yeah.
I forget who's playing Dobra on that, but...
you mean Luke Bryan is the only writer on that song?
I don't know if that's true, but he is, yeah.
I'm going to use this tiny supercomputer.
Do me a favor and tap into Skynet over there and ask Jeeves if that's true.
Is it okay if I use Bing?
No. I would rather you just ask Jeeves. That way we can get a person-to-person kind of response.
Okay, well, let me Google Ask Jeeves so that I can get to the Ask Jeeves website.
Do that, and then DuckDuckGo to it.
Do I find those directions on MapQuest? All right, we're done with this.
I just saw some meme about a picture of MapQuest directions. I was like, how was that ever a thing? Here's an idea. Get behind the wheel of your car, drive somewhere that you've never been, and oh yeah, halfway there, pull out a piece of paper and do some reading.
I mean, well, it was like the Thomas Guide.
You got to do what you got to do.
But at least it took the map and just gave you, 1, 2, 3, do this, do that. It was a step in the right direction.
Rachel Thibodeau is the other songwriter.
Oh, Thibodeau. Okay, cool.
From all the boys in Thibodeau.
Oh, Louisiana looking ass.
Light up, pretty little Cajun queen.
Oh man,
you know that one?
I don't know that one.
That's a George Strait tune.
Yeah. I know that one.
Oh no, here coming down the road with the cotton dress swishing. She's getting some attention from the boys down in Thibodeau.
Mm-hmm.
Now it just came full circle.
Adelaida,
yeah,
right?
That's a great tune, man.
Yeah.
You know that tune?
No.
Adelaida.
Yes. Now that you sang that.
Yesterday on the gig, Rob Music wore a Go to Hell hat.
Go to Hell.
Do you remember that discussion with Tim Galloway?
No. What?
About the beret, but like a jazz hat.
Yeah.
He told me an artist pulled it off his head and told him it was called a Go to Hell hat.
But it was like some big artist. I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, he didn't say on the podcast.
Okay.
But either way, he said that in parts of the South, you know what I'm talking about, like a golf hat, like Bagger Vance, like
it's newsboy hat.
It's called a Go to Hell hat.
Really?
Never heard of that. Anyway,
never heard it.
Rob on the gig yesterday, I was like, oh, nice Go to Hell hat.
Oh,
and
it wasn't a trucker hat that said "Go to Hell." It was like
no,
a newsboy.
Yeah, it was Bagger Vance, Scottish golf apparel.
Nice, swaggin'.
Apparently, that's called a Go to Hell hat. I didn't do any research about that. If I can remember, hey, Lyndon, make a note that says research Go to Hell hat.
Got you.
I need to know more.
Yeah, I wonder where that one came from.
I don't know. Whoever thought of that, whoever is that offended by hats or shirts or apparel, you need to just relax.
Yeah.
It's a hat.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay. It's one thing if that hat says something extremely obscene or like racist or something.
Right.
But if it's just a style of fabric sewn together.
Right.
That
offends you?
It seems unreasonable.
Yeah, it does.
Maybe you need to check yourself.
Check yourself.
Sorry, man.
No, I love hats.
Dude, I love hats too, man.
Yeah, big hat fan.
I'm a big hat fan in the regards that most hats are too small for my watermelon head.
Yeah, I too have a large cranium, and I require a
I
extra
like
large
that
hat.
one. I like your cod. How'd you say it earlier?
Well, I believe it's pronounced corduroy.
It is, but
I said corduroy or something.
Yeah, you gave it a. We were doing characters and corduroy. That's what it was.
Yeah, I kind of collect corduroy hats. I think they're cool. They're
Like
kind of
cool.
They're kind of like next level trucker hats. To
They
me.
are. It's like I see your vintage trucker hat and I raise you corduroy.
Yeah, word.
Except for, it would probably make my head sweaty.
They tend to be a little hotter. Like they're definitely not like a summertime hat.
For sure. It's like the felt hat versus the straw hat.
But on the flip side, I'm also a fan of the all mesh trucker hat where there's no like front panel. It's just all mesh around with like a patch. Like that is sick too.
That's pretty dope. That's ultimate comfort, ultimate in
just like sweaty driving your truck through like Missouri. Just like
I like to pronounce it misery.
Yeah.
Do you want some go to hell hat history right now?
Yes.
Yeah, let's do live action.
So if you're listening with children, you should probably cover their ears.
Oh, is this about to be like horrible history of the United States?
It's not horrible history. It's just very vulgar. Okay, so
yeah, put the kids to bed.
From the book FUBAR, Fucked Up Beyond All Recognition, Soldier Slang of World War II, page 82. Overseas cap, garrison cap, less restrained terms included go to hell cap and cunt cap. For Marines, a piss cutter and a fore and aft cap. Garrison cap, flat cap.
These are all words for that one kind of hat.
That and like a couple of other kind of similar
military style hats.
Yeah. Wow. But one of the supposed there's kind of like a few different suggestions. The one I found the most interesting is, and maybe plausible, is that a person wearing that hat would be very likely to tell you to go to hell. Which is great, yeah.
Yo, that's so funny. Wow. I can see that guy on the corner.
You all may go to hell and I will go to Texas. I believe that is the great Stephen F. Austin.
That's right.
So there it is. Yeah. So it's not the guy was offended at the hat. It's the guy wearing the hat was telling you to go to hell.
Which is
which
just tells me that the person that did the snatching of the hat off of the head did not understand why they were upset.
But I think if the term is that old, then you got to think that like a lot of people wore it back then, so it's a little less arrogant looking of a hat to wear back then. So I still don't understand why they're likely to tell you to go to hell.
That's back in the days of fedoras and derbies and
so is it like
and all that shit.
The person that wears that kind of hat, I mean, I think of like an Irishman, like a Peaky Blinders kind of dude.
Great
so
show.
Maybe it's because they're like kind of a hard ass.
Mike loves TV and movie talk.
Yeah, it's my favorite. I'm really good at it.
He loves Peaky Blinders. Tell him more.
That's it. You guys keep going.
Welcome back to the Hat Club. Today we're talking about go to hell hats, derby hats, and
dude, we're so far off the rails
hats.
right now.
That's okay, dude. Who cares?
That one fucking asshole on YouTube. Sorry.
Go to hell hats.
Yeah.
Is that the garage door?
I mean,
oh yeah, for sure. It's definitely the garage door.
I don't feel
wifey
it.
home?
I feel it.
Yeah, that's what it was. It's definitely not.
Well, get ready for it again because it's about to happen.
No, you're right, though.
I would say hats are an essential piece of gear.
Man.
Oh, that's, yeah.
They're like,
Mike.
They're almost like tech. It's like what kind of a day are you expecting? Because if it's going to be cold, perhaps you might want to wear a toboggan or a stocking cap, an insulated stocking cap known as a toboggan or a beanie, most commonly.
Yep.
Or perhaps you're headed to the beach and you have sensitive ocular perceptory units and you need respite from the sun. So perhaps a head covering to protect your scalp from the sun, as well as some sort of sun porch to protect your eyes would be in order.
He said sun porch. Oh my god.
Hey man, I'm just expounding here. I'm just free flowing. Now we're flowing and now we're going and whatever. Anyway, enough about hats. What the fuck were we talking about?
I don't know. But that was a solid 7 minutes.
That's okay. That will certainly I will find use for that by itself in some sort of blooper reel, perhaps someday in the future. Mike, thanks for being a part of that.
My pleasure.
So something that I've been asking guests recently that I think is cool to kind of get inside where someone is at musically and what inspires them is what if anything do you find yourself listening to, or do you just spend all your time learning Alan Jackson solos on guitar and steel? or both?
Yes and yes. So lately it's my go-to has been just 90s country playlists for just going down the rabbit hole, trying to find cool solos and just really nerd out, go hard on that whole thing.
Right.
But recently, because of the Randy gig, I've met a bunch of new cats, and they're kind of from all over. The drummer's from Louisiana, Trey Landry, who's super awesome, and
Louisiana's a good spot for musicians.
Man, he's been showing me some really cool stuff. He showed me this Neville Brothers record called Live from Planet Earth from 1994.
Lyndon, if you don't mind making a note.
That is it's life-changingly good. It's so amazing. I was showing it to a friend last night. We went up to Whiskey Jam and we were shooting the shit about music. Stevie Redstone is his name, and
what a name.
Yeah, he just moved here from LA. He's just a great cat. And I showed him that record, and man, we just went down the rabbit hole just rocking out to it. And then last week, our sound guy on the bus, and I guess we're all sort of inspired by our surroundings and who we're hanging out with all the time, right?
Totally.
So yeah, he's our front of house guy / tour manager. He has a lot of experience in the metal world. So the other night, we were just shooting the shit, and I was like, man, throw me your best metal shit. I want to get schooled in some metal. And he was showing me all these bands Meshuggah, and there was another one that I can't remember the name right now, forgive me, but then we ended up on Pantera and ended up on Cowboys from Hell, and I had this moment where I was Cowboys from Hell, that is 90s country to the extreme. I was so I really took that on. So
are you not familiar with it, that kind of those records?
Not
so Pantera's from where I'm from, so I knew about that at a young age, and I'm a big fan of all of that music.
Wow.
So it's interesting to also he was in the 90s, and you're a little younger than me, not too terrible.
5 years or so.
Yeah, it's only like a half a decade.
Yeah.
Which sounds way worse than it is when I say it that way. But in the 90s, the late 90s, Dimebag was all over MTV and guitar magazines and shit. So
yeah.
It's
it never clicked with me ever.
I probably wasn't allowed to even listen to that kind of music at that point in my life.
Right.
But and going back, and I've had cool personal experiences with Dime and Vinny and all those people, and from that camp met people who I would consider friends for life, the homie Sterling Winfield, who's an amazing engineer and producer in his own right. He engineered Far Beyond Driven and all the rest of the Pantera catalog, everything that Vinny did after that, the Damage Plan and Hell Yeah with the Mudvayne guys, and he also would come run sound for me at a bar gig if I needed him to. You know what I'm saying? He's just a solid ass dude,
The homie, yeah,
and super skilled. You know,
yeah.
So that's just crazy that someone into guitar playing as long as you've been into would have never like dipped your toe in Cowboys from Hell.
I kind of was like kind of a softie of a guitar player. Like
It's such a cool riff.
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, but like I was like when I heard like Larry Carlton and like Steely Dan, like that's what made me want to like go to music school. And then in music school, I was like grabbed my ES-347 and I was learning like, you know, jazzy funk stuff like from the 70s. Like that was my vibe. And like my metal days were like in high school, and I was, you know, like into like thrash metal like from the 80s, like, and even like Slayer was like a little heavy for me and stuff. So I was more of like a Van Halen, like kind of, I don't know, that was kind of my lane.
You are listening to the Gear and Beer Podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by Bobby Jam's Kitchen. Want to take your home cooking to the next level? Need new recipe ideas or meal inspiration? Like, follow, and subscribe to Bobby Jam's Kitchen on YouTube and Instagram at Bobby Jam's Kitchen. Cook your food and eat it.
No, just a second ago, you mentioned in your formative years, like hearing Larry Carlton and Steely Dan and like being drawn to that. Do you care to elaborate on that? Was it like the Kid Charlemagne solo?
Oh, absolutely. That was it. I was watching VH1 in high school, and up to this moment, it was like metal and like the Crossroads theme and all chops and jamming along to like classic rock records and really trying to get my technique and, you know, rock style soloing. And then when I heard that solo and he does that altered lick over the B flat 13 chord, I mean, it was like life. Yeah, it was like, and there's a flat 7, like he did the Merle Haggard lick in there. I mean, shit, dude,
that's true. He did
that solo.
My dad
flipped my world over.
Within the last 2 months, texted me and said something to, if not exactly this, to the effect of the guitar solo in Steely Dan Kid Charlemagne is the best guitar solo of all time.
Yeah, I think Rick Beato like said something like that too. If you're familiar with Rick's podcast,
I don't know him as a podcaster. I just know
the YouTube channel. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, I am familiar with that. But it wouldn't surprise me if he is also doing a podcast. I think that dude has a lot of information and a lot of beneficial videos, and I think he's also got a lot of things where he's having to do the necessary like YouTube hype thing for his algorithm.
Yeah,
the top 10 guitar solos of all time.
That, though.
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean. And I don't fault him for that. It's just like that kind of stuff. Too many of those, and I just turns me off of it for a second.
That's one of those guys that you look at and you don't think he's going to play the way he does, and
he's
then you hear him play
at a multitude of instruments.
Dude, it is crazy how good at guitar he is.
Oh yeah,
and he can play bass, and he can play drums, and he can play piano.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I mean, I figured he could at least play some of it because he programmed stuff in there.
Have y'all seen that ear training video with him and
his son?
Is that his son?
Yeah, the kid that like just names off the crazy.
I didn't know that was his son.
His son got like perfect pitch or something?
I thought it was a student.
That's his son. That's
really
Dylan. Yeah, I don't know how old he is, but yeah, he's incredible. Obviously,
the most ridiculous set of ears on a child since Jacob Collier or somebody like, or Aaron the bassist from Ukraine or wherever kid's from.
Is it perfect pitch, or is it like he just names extensions on every single chord?
He's playing polychords and he's just calling out notes bottom to top.
Oh,
with his back to the piano.
Not even not just quality, like the stack.
Yeah, he's playing like eight notes, just like whatever. Pick 8 random notes. 4 fingers on each hand, and
Yep.
the kid's like G sharp F.
Wow.
What, and just like reading it
Well,
out.
I guess when you got a dad that plays guitar like that and you grow up with that,
I don't care who your dad is. That is some
I'm
special
not
shit.
trying to. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I have a couple of friends, excuse me, my shoelaces that serve no function that always come untied. I've come untied.
Do you always wear boat shoes on the podcast?
No. But I wear these on this podcast a lot because they're not great for walking at all.
That's such a good subtle roast.
That is a good roast.
Thank
That
you.
is-
I was waiting
that is
for
a
it.
good roast.
I was like, I see it. There it is.
I think that's my favorite thing.
That is absolute. Hey, can you do me a favor? On my computer in my notes section is a Gear and Beer quotes page. Please put "Do you always wear boat shoes on the podcast?" Mike Khalil in there. Yeah. Definitely using that.
Yes.
I've earned that roast. No one is. I wear these shoes on this podcast probably 6 times. No one has ever even mentioned them, and they're ridiculous.
They really are.
They're also
The socks too. I mean, they're like cut off short socks.
well, they're the only kind of sock to wear with a shoe of this low profile.
Why wear socks with that fucking shit?
Well, because if I don't, the leather will cause my foot to sweat, and then it will slip off.
I get it. Anyways, Larry Carlson's fucking awesome.
Dude, you're right about my socks. No, no, you're right about Larry Carlton being fucking awesome. So when you are actively listening to Steely Dan at that point when you heard that solo?
Yeah, and then into high school, I saw them a time or two live, and with Walter. Man, yeah.
I saw him with Walter.
I used to just get stoned with my buddies and like nerd out on Asia, and I was.
It's a great record. It's not. That's the first one for me. That's the first one I really deep dived into.
Right. Yeah.
It's not even close to my favorite.
What's your favorite?
I would say either Gaucho or Countdown.
I like Gaucho a lot too.
Gaucho's great sonically and songwriting. It's like super Fagin-y.
Yeah.
But Countdown to Ecstasy with all the Skunk Baxter playing all that steel on that.
Yep.
Was like Pearl of the Quarter and
Yep.
all that stuff, dude.
Yeah.
Those songs, I mean, they're like jazzed up American songbook sounding like the recordings, and there's just something about them that just sound extremely classic, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I just love that record. My dad Facebook ordered me a Countdown to Ecstasy t-shirt. Facebook advertised that t-shirt to him, and he's like, I bet Robert would love this, and he bought it, and now I have a Countdown to Ecstasy Steely Dan t-shirt.
That's awesome.
If you can't tell, Rob's dad's pretty cool.
My dad is pretty cool. That's a 63 Strat over there. If you haven't played that, you should definitely play that.
Yeah.
It is real weird because the frets are 63, and it's basically like a fretless guitar.
Wow.
Except for
so that's original frets.
Yeah, and by original frets, I mean almost none.
What's left of them? Yes.
It's in dire need of frets.
Do you have a feeling about changing the original frets on a guitar like that?
I just don't know who to take it to. It's not something that I want someone to get wrong.
Because I've always got my guitars refretted, even when they're vintage guitars, and I never thought anything of it. But I hear vintage guitar people, calling out, "Oh, this guitar has
If
changed
you're trying
frets."
to maintain value like that, that's a completely original guitar.
Right. Right.
Like nothing has been changed in it.
That's amazing. Like I'd be so down to check that out, man. Like
It's
so rare too.
It's very interesting, and it's a rosewood board. I think they call it the veneer. It's like a really thin slab. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, we are running mics, and this is a podcast. Why don't you play it?
All right.
Yeah, plug it in.
Plug it into the Woolly Coats.
But like when you get a second, look at the profile of the board.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. You're going through the aux, man. I'll run you in the aux.
Okay.
Actually, you should be good to go.
What is a
Oh, here.
60-year-old Jack? Wow.
Yeah, no doubt, dude.
It's crazy. Well, the tremolo doesn't hurt.
For the listeners, this is through a, what year is that Pro Reverb?
65 Pro Reverb, 63 Stratocaster.
And then Mike's pedal board.
Yeah, Mike's board and the aux with a 112.
Is that killing your ears, Rob? Okay.
It's making them feel awesome. It's like super clear, right? Especially with those hands on it. It sounds extremely authentic. You just spread it out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh man, I'm dying right now. I love how the low frets make you want to dig in.
It's a very weird guitar.
And this is bridge. Like, isn't the bridge pickup like the Achilles heel of any Strat?
Yeah, of the bad ones.
Yeah.
A good Strat has that super woody neck and a super punchy bridge. And they're like not crazy volume difference. Do you have tone roll back on it?
No, it's timed out. Man, you know, it's funny you asked about the slide. So, like, there's a lot of bottleneck playing on that gig, and I don't do any of it. Randy does a little bit of it, but I just went down to Carter and I bought.
Oh yeah, you were saying you've got a ring finger slide.
They had these legit like Coracetum bottles that I guess Drew Smithers sourced for them or something, but they're like the legit
vintage Coracetum bottle,
like whatever Dwayne Allman used, like same profile.
Whatever Derek Trucks uses.
Yeah. So I bought one of those and I just been home shedding it on the ring finger and watching Derek and JD Simo and some other cats.
It's hard with a weighted slide like that.
It doesn't bother me. I had one for a long time and someone stole it off of I had this amp case with like my picks and my shit, and at Paradise Park I was playing, I turned around and somebody had just taken it.
Oh God.
Oh man.
Yeah,
like,
they're hard to come by, man.
Like, bro, like I paid like $35 for that piece of glass. Mm-hmm. Dick.
Yeah,
and so I just never bought another one.
Yeah.
I had the Derek Trucks signature, like Dunlop one or whatever. That's not the same.
Yeah. No, these are cool.
And makes your fingers sweaty.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I would have remembered to bring it, even though I suck at it. But it's so fun, man.
It's a cool sound. It's a cool vibe.
Yeah, and just with with the Randy thing, like just been taking that on. I don't know if I'm ready to bust it out on the gig yet, but we'll see. It's also weird.
It's something you never got into. Is that the whole deal?
Yeah, more or less.
Playing slide I play slide a fair amount, and it is still real hard.
Yeah,
like even I can shed something and be nails, and then just get to the gig, and it's like something's just off where I just cannot tune well. It's like it's finicky.
Yeah, I was watching this JD Simo video, and he was saying, man, you just got to like go on stage and like suck at it until you don't suck at it anymore. Just like, man.
Fair enough, man.
I mean, that's an extremely rough edges assessment of being a musician in general.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's really it.
That's what it takes, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
Doing it wrong
right.
when is least opportune for you to do it wrong.
Oh yeah,
and being like, oh shit, how do I prevent this from ever happening?
Yeah, that fire that gets lit from that.
I remember playing a gig at Roberts. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, you're fine.
Fuck him, man.
And I was like playing with this amazing steel player, and like I was just like so into what this dude was playing when he was.
Who was it?
Oh God, it was Tommy Hannum.
Tommy Hannum's bad to the bone.
Yeah, we were playing a gig with Sarah Gale, and like he would do this stuff in his, and while he was soloing,
was Bubes playing drums?
I think it was Walter Hartman, maybe.
Oh, okay.
But I was so into it, and coming from like sort of a jazz background or whatever, I was trying to play like flat nines and like some cool like jazzy stuff. I wasn't trying to like solo or step on it, but there was even times where he would play an idea and then I would kind of like mimic it. But I was just so focused on his playing, right? I was just so into it and I was having fun and I thought I was doing amazing. I thought it was so cool. And after the gig, he just came over to me and he goes, "Boy, when I'm soloing, you play thirds and sevenths. If I play a 13 and you play a flat 13, that shit sounds wrong." And I mean, he was looking at me dead in the eye, like telling me like, "You really pissed me off," basically, you know? And I really was like, "Oh my God, I am so sorry." Like, I'll never do it again. And it changed my comping. I mean, forever. After that, I mean,
probably for the better.
100%, man. I don't know what it was when I was in music school. It was like comping was all about, you know, being cool and hip, kind of like as in soloing.
But like in what situation? In like small jazz combo,
right? And that was the thing is it's like we're in Nashville at Roberts playing like Buck Owens. Like if you're playing, it's that, man. That's it. That's all you get. And when it's your turn to solo, knock it out of the park.
Flat every 13 if you want.
Exactly. But don't you
damn do it ever again.
I mean, it was to the point where it's like, if I play a sharp 9, you play a flat 9, like that's fucked up. And like I was from the school of like, no, that's cool. But like, no, not in this situation. You know what I mean?
There are certainly more like structured harmonic rules to the swing thing. Like the jazziness is for the soloist, and everybody else is still meat and potatoes.
Exactly, meat and potatoes. That's what it's all about.
But I mean that makes like 100% of sense, right?
Right.
Like, but
totally.
Absolutely. It should be obvious, but it's not. But
not to like a lot of young.
No,
cats
I mean myself
right.
included at that point. I don't know how old you were, but like, I think that we definitely all had a situation where like, you know, somebody made you realize that like. You don't have
the way
to
you're
play
doing
these
it ain't the way to do it.
You don't have to play these very harmonically specific voicings, especially if you're playing with a piano player or another guitar player or a steel player.
Yeah.
Whatever. Somebody carries the harmonic extension weight of the comping section, and that person should be listening to the soloist and being able to, or the soloist could be going off of the person comping. But if two people are playing extensions, then there's a lot of room for fucking error unless the extensions are written on the page.
I think that the way that you first phrase it is the way that it should be. Whoever is comping only harmonically should be doing stuff that the soloist is putting out there, because if you're playing flat 9s underneath my pentatonic, I'm going to sound like an asshole, or you are. Either way, neither one of us is going to sound very good.
Well, I'm saying just like maybe it's a communication thing, right? Like it just depends on the dynamic of the moment, right? Like if a saxophone player is going somewhere and then a piano player that's comping underneath him has an idea and plays something, that saxophonist can react to that, and then they can go off of what the piano player is playing. But in the moment, it may be more appropriate for the piano player to just kind of sit more in the background and harmonically accommodate
support
the sax. Yeah, exactly.
I guess that it's pretty situational, at least in jazz. But in Western,
I think any situation.
In Western swing, that's just not how it's done. The comping is like, hurry up and wait for the solo to be over and then play that little part that you've been playing.
I mean, I think that I could see where that would be more appropriate in the sense of like
not a lot of comping going on. If
just leave the harmonic interpretation of the extensions up to the soloist. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
In jazz, what you're saying absolutely true, and that's how things grow and like take some places somewhere.
Yeah, there's a little, maybe a little less adventure. Harmonically.
Yeah, it's like in jazz, you're all stumbling along the same path, and somebody's like, "Oh, check it out! I found this opening," and then everybody goes down there, and somebody.
And that goes for rhythm too, really.
And
especially,
I was approaching this situation from that place, and that's where I was maybe not reading the room, so to speak.
But
how do you know until you do
had
it
those
wrong,
moments?
And it's those,
nobody told you
those kind of lessons. It's like I moved to Nashville for that kind of bitch slap, where it was like, wow.
I wish that I had I honestly, I did so much learning like that. All of that learning like that I've ever done was in Dallas. By the time I got here, I've probably said this before on the podcast. I know I've told Lyndon. It's like in Dallas, I was the youngest and I was the worst. No matter the gig, almost without, like across the board, I was youngest and the worst. I moved here and it was immediately the opposite. I was immediately the oldest and by far the most prepared. And I'm not even gonna say the best, just like I'm the most prepared to like get up here and be a professional musician or whatever.
Yeah.
I've played with some players who are killing.
Yeah.
I've not been in a single situation where I felt like I didn't know my ass from a hole in the ground in Nashville.
Yeah.
That used to happen to me in Dallas all the time.
Oh, it
As a matter
happened
of
to
fact,
me in LA too.
it still happens to me when I go back to Dallas.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I played with the Funky Knuckles at Christmas or Thanksgiving when I went back, and like the tunes that I called, I played fine. But somebody called like Naima, and it's like I haven't shed that tune, and it was just like I was just punching everybody in the eardrums for like 2 choruses, and then I just stopped.
Dude, there was a very similar situation when I first moved to Dallas or to Denton.
Do me
to
a
go
favor
to
and
UNT.
mute the aux.
Okay.
That's amazing guitar.
I'm just hearing 60 cyclo.
Yeah. Where I went down to that jam at the Walrus with Mike League, and I think Justin Stanton went down with us, and Bernard Wright was leading RC was leading the session, but Bernard was playing, and that was like the time when RC was like, "Hey, you've been coming, and you're definitely gonna sit in this time. You're first up. Get ready." And just no bullshit, right? And so like I go in like sit in, and I've been learning this RH Factor tune that Bernard wrote, and I know he wrote it, and I call it. And I think I'm going to just fucking murder this tune because I've been shedding it all week.
And he reharmed it or something on the spot.
Dude, he starts changing the key, and like the rest of the band, of course, can just follow him by ear, and I couldn't follow it, so I just like folded all over this tune in front of the guy who wrote the song, and I called the song. And then like the rest of the band is like Erykah Badu's band, basically.
Was he like changing the key incrementally or like just overall?
Every chorus he was changing the key.
Okay, that's an extremely Bernard thing to do.
Yeah, and it wasn't just by a half step. It was like a whatever he felt like doing.
A major third
and my dumbass didn't have the ability not only to hear what key center it was in, but if I could hear the key center, I couldn't transpose it in my head. You know what I'm saying?
Extremely high stakes for someone who...
No, but he taught me a lesson about how important ears are, you know, like, and I'm kind of just speaking to what you were saying, Mike, about...
Sure, I was just trying to give you some slack because no one could possibly do that in that situation.
The rest of the band was fine.
Well, they're used to it. I'm saying someone stepping in for the first time,
but it
doesn't matter. I don't care who you are.
It was such a lesson because he set the standard for me. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
And it was like... I still sometimes think about it in the shower, you know?
Yeah. I was just trying to tell you that you're okay.
I'm not.
You're right.
No, you're good, bro. You're good. That was
you're pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty,
ain't nobody could have hung in that.
Pretty good.
Deer and beer.
Right?
Play that again. Slow down. I do know that, actually.
Yeah.
I pick it differently, but I know the intervals that you're doing there.
Yeah.
I do it in like a 3-string grouping. Yeah.
I can't do that, right? But I can go pick.
I can't do it good, but I can do it.
Pick, plug. I don't know why.
It's really hard, man.
Yeah.
And then I see Red Volkar's fingers, and I'm like, well, I got no
just
excuses.
rolls.
Yeah.
Right? Like, no problem.
Like the fastest and cleanest Cascade licks you've ever heard or even thought about.
I love those, like, open string licks, man. So good.
Dude, this guitar is twangy, right?
Yeah.
I find myself one tracking, I play that Strat, I play this guitar, and I play my PRS, which has Klein PAFs in it. Mm-hmm. And
you don't track with that Nash?
not a lot. I mean, I do, just because they all have cool sounds, and I just like, I'll be like, you know what, I want to play this guitar, and then I'll figure out, I'll find a place to shove it, you know. Yeah. Come on, Merle Travis, let's go. Or is that Jerry Reed?
Merle, it was Merle Travis.
Oh, it is Merle.
Ah, fuck. I haven't shut this tune in forever.
Dude, that stuff is so hard, I can't do that.
Fuck it. Forgive me for I've sinned, Father.
Yeah, well, it's like,
That's great.
I'll tell you what, let's ask some stupid and fun questions. They're very poignant. Take them very seriously.
Oh, I will.
I think you mispronounced pointless.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I forget who it was. Some old dude I used to play with in Texas. First time I ever brought a matchless out, and he goes, "Oh, man, you got ripped off. That's not a Marshall."
That's fucking awesome.
And I was like, Rigs of Dad didn't exist then, but if it did, hashtag Rigs of Dad.
For sure.
My first question is, and always will be, Metallica or Megadeth?
Ooh.
Can you mute that aux again for me, please? Thank you.
Metallica.
Excellent. Let me ask you another. I say it's a simple either or question, and then I'm going to argue with you some, just because that's what I do. Have you listened to much Megadeth?
Not much.
I recommend that you check out some early Megadeth.
For sure. I mean, like,
The guitar shit is amazing. It's amazing.
Peace Sells, like, whatever era that is, that's like fucking. I probably like that.
That's the era I'm talking about.
Yeah, like that song, like I probably like more than like Seek and Destroy or like any Metallica songs. But I think so that may be my favorite song. But I think overall, like I probably just know more of Metallica's catalog.
So it's a familiarity.
So I chose them, but that was where I was struggling. Was Peace Sells? I like that song more than any Metallica song, probably.
There's so much good guitar playing.
Yeah.
In both of those bands. I don't care what anybody says about Kirk Hammett. Kirk Hammett wrote the shit out of Enter Sandman. If you don't like Enter Sandman, it's only because you've heard it everywhere you've ever been for the last 35 years.
And like, dude, the wah tone on some of that shit.
It's all great. It's great playing.
Amazing.
It's great playing.
Yeah.
It's exactly what was called for in the moment.
Totally.
And if you're a guitar player of a certain age and you didn't try and learn that, you're lying, because yes, you did.
Right. When I got to Nashville and was like playing Honky Tonk Central and they were like calling Enter Sandman every night, I was like, really? Fuck, I better learn the shit out of that song, you know? That and Sweet Child of Mine.
Yeah, that's
one.
that's a pretty standard one.
Yeah.
This is a new. I update these questions almost every week. It's just kind of like
Trying them out.
Yeah, just like trying to find, something special maybe for the specific guest, or just to change it up. Just because I'm asking these questions to most people these days.
I got you.
And this is a new question, and that question is Miles or Train?
Oof. Miles.
There is no wrong choice, by the way.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean both. All of the above.
Sure.
For sure.
But you have to pick. You're stuck with the catalog of one. It is hard to argue against Miles, but there's plenty of arguments to be made for John Coltrane.
Yeah.
I will say there are no pictures of Miles Davis in this room.
Yeah.
There is a picture of John Coltrane in this room.
Well, I guess we agree to disagree.
No, I think you have to. I think you almost have to pick Miles, because without Miles, there is no Coltrane, arguably.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
I like Coltrane's songs a little better.
It's really just Miles's like approach to listening and space.
So much doesn't ever happen. Miles is the Beatles. He's the Beatles.
Right. Like, yeah. And I think Coltrane...
we would have never got Steely Dan if it weren't for the Beatles.
Right.
But I'll be damned if I don't listen to Steely Dan over the Beatles 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
And I don't even feel that way with Miles and Coltrane. I'm just saying one definitely happened because of the other, and the other still might be your favorite.
Yeah.
And that's okay, too.
Totally. Yeah.
Do you have a particular Miles record that you love?
I actually love Star People.
I don't know that one.
It has John Scofield and Mike Stern on it. And
I know. I do know that one.
Yeah. Fuck, I love that record. I mean, it's such as like stupid 80s.
Would you mind making a note of that?
I'm doing it.
Yeah, it's like it's like one of those 80s ones that people are like, oh, that's not the era, but yo, the guitar playing on that fucking record.
Dude, the 80s Miles was crazy as shit. He had that what was it? Like Daryl Jones and Foley, the same Foley playing lead bass.
Yeah, man, there's so many. Yo, for real,
that shit is awesome.
Yeah, that
dude.
shit is so dope. Like
so inventive and.
Oh, I gotta there's like a million Miles records that I've never heard. I think I just bought that one like randomly on vinyl one day.
How else do you even know where to start?
It was like $3, and I brought it home and just was like,
dude,
oh my god.
The crazy thing to me about all that stuff is that Miles changed music, but Miles never changed. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you listen to Miles's tone and like his lines and stuff, it's all Miles the whole way. I mean, granted, like on Miles Tones, the record, you know, the kind of like hard bop record, that Columbia thing,
old
like,
or new.
But you know what I'm saying? Like the new Miles Tones, he's
the new one.
He's playing like hard bop lines, but like, if you were to compare that to 80s Miles with how much he changed the genre, comparatively, he's basically doing the same shit.
He just changed everything around him.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. And did such a fantastic job of like picking.
He came up with like a new. It was like, I need a new jam track, so I'm getting a new piece of gear, and by new piece of gear, I mean Foley and.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say the dude didn't change.
No, I mean, sure, he
like,
grew, but he never didn't sound like Miles always sounded.
Yeah, but like you're right. That's the great way to put it. The
building solos.
He changed the environment.
Totally.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Which is one way to do it. If you're not going to change and you want to grow as an artist, you just change everything else.
Yeah.
And he did the shit out of that. The way he wrote changed drastically, and you can argue that early Miles is just as cool as late Miles, and like he's got just standards in any circle in any part of the country from all the eras of his music, no matter what. If you were to go to sit in on a jazz gig in Portland or sit in one in Jacksonville, Florida, you could probably call Solar, and I bet both bandstands can get through it, or something. What's one of the new ones that people call? Anybody?
I'm sorry, of Miles tunes?
Yeah.
What do you mean of new ones that people call? Like later Miles tunes?
Yeah. Like Tutu or something?
I mean, I don't know of any later Miles tunes that people would normally call in a session.
Is Tutu a Miles tune?
I think so.
If it is, I think it's like an 80s Miles tune, and they used to play that shit in Dallas all the time.
Let's see.
It might be Marcus Miller. I know Marcus Miller did it, but is it a Marcus Miller tune or is it Miles?
I have no idea.
Marcus Miller.
It is a Marcus Miller tune?
Written by Marcus Miller, but it is on the...
Was it on a Miles record when he was
it's on the record, Tutu.
Miles' record?
Yeah.
Okay, so Marcus Miller wrote it while he was in Miles' band, and they put it on that record, and then apparently it was the Untitled Chapter. Okay, so that's what year was that? That's the 80s, right?
I mean, it's got to be if Marcus Miller's in it, right? It's
I don't
86.
remember that. 86? Okay, yeah. So that
Dude, but like on this tip of, like that era of jazz, like, man, Bernard Wright was the MD of Wayne Shorter's band in that same era. Which, Mike, if you don't know Bernard Wright, we'll get in.
we'll find some links, and it's a whole rabbit hole. The man is. They're not words for him. He's one of the most transcendent and special musicians that has lived in his lifetime.
Wow.
He was in Cameo, played with Marcus Miller, he played for Wayne Shorter, he did all kind of shit. He has his own do you know the Doggy Style record?
Yeah, it's probably my favorite hip hop record of all time.
Okay, I forget the name of the tune on the Snoop record, but the sample is doom boom doom.
Yeah, yes.
That's Bernard Wright song. The Bernard Wright song is called Hobble Globbo Treatment.
No. Oh, right. I've heard of this. Okay.
And that's not to speak of his direct influence on extremely modern music.
Sure.
Bernard Wright.
Yeah.
Dude, Bernard Wright, he's there's just nobody like him, man. He's just one of those dudes, you know.
Sure.
But anyway, I'm just saying, like, there's like people kind of dog on the 80s, but
yeah,
in terms of, not just jazz, obviously, but specifically jazz. But there's so much good shit out there, man.
Oh yeah,
That's true. Almost no matter what kind of music you're talking about. And on that note, we just talked about a bunch of jazz. So my next question for you, Mike, is jazz or metal?
jazz.
I think that's pretty.
That's my fastest answer so far.
Self-evident.
Let's say it's pretty evident based on the last 10 minutes of discussion.
Yeah.
Live or session?
Live or session? For me, I would say live. I would say this. I want to be a session player. I would say I'm goal oriented towards becoming
that's the move.
Prominent session player.
As you grow.
Yeah, for sure. But right now, live. I have to choose live. I enjoy it. I'm enjoying the fuck out of it right now.
I don't see a time when I'm ever like, you know what? I just don't want to go play in front of anybody anymore.
I mean, yeah.
I think that spending more time doing sessions, which is something that I'm actively doing,
Right.
that is where I want to be,
Right.
but like not with in place of like just tilting the scale.
Yeah. I mean, like I had a session today and it was great and, the vibe was cool, made, the client happy, and it was all great. Got paid, whatever. But, last weekend when I was like soloing for a minute and a half in front of like a full room at the front of the stage, just like feeling the music and wearing a fucking like cowboy rodeo outfit. I don't know that anything is like more fun than that.
Pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's the highs are definitely higher live.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know, but I've never played on like a number one record or something. Like maybe that would be cool.
Yeah, but even when you play on the number one record, you don't know that's what it is when you're making it.
Right, it's just another day at the office.
The moment's still, and there's great highs in the studio.
Yeah.
But I think I agree with you. That's really what I'm trying to say.
Right.
The highs feel higher live in the situation like you just described.
Yeah, like that's so awesome.
Pretty awesome.
It's pretty fucking cool, man.
Single coil or humbucker?
That's a great question. Oh, well, definitely single coil.
Even as you hold a P90 guitar.
Yeah. Is there a third option there? Is a P90 technically single coil?
Yep.
Right, okay. Single coil then.
I would say tonally it kind of lies somewhere in between. It's
super
quacky
hot.
and spanky like a single coil, but like pound the shit out of a front of an amp like a humbucker.
Right. I've never owned a P90 guitar. Always wanted
That's
to.
the only one that I've ever owned.
Man, yeah, I'd love to get my hands on one. But yes,
They're cool.
Yeah.
It's a vibe for sure.
Yeah, I would love to get one. I would say single coil, just being so married to the telly for so long.
Sure.
Got to.
It's hard to argue, man.
Desert
it
Island,
is.
give me a telly for sure. Les Paul's always going to be number
we'll
two
get to the
for me.
Desert Island. Don't you worry about that. Matheny or Schofield?
Schofield.
Damn.
I get it. You don't even have to elaborate. That's a new one. I'm just trying that out.
Definitely
like that
Schofield for sure.
I missed that actually earlier. That was supposed to go right after Miles or Coltrane.
Oh, word.
I'm doing great. Welcome back to Gear and Beer. Today's episode is Mike Khalil. I was doing a radio reset. I'm sorry.
Oh, got it.
That doesn't make sense. I'm sorry for that too. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. No. You use a volume pedal, and I started to ask you earlier, but I wanted to wait until now. My first question is, where in the chain does that fall? Post drive?
Post drive, before delay, reverb, and any other effects. Yes.
Do you also use a volume knob?
Yes.
Volume knob or volume pedal?
Oh, volume knob for sure, but they serve two different purposes.
The way you have it set up, they absolutely do.
Right. When it's after your overdrives, it's like a master volume.
I've never used it that way. It's new to me.
So the reason
I get it. I never tried it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would check it out, man. It's cool because like when you go to do a swell or something, your tone stays exactly the same.
Yeah,
where on a guitar,
don't lose the saturation.
Yeah, on a guitar, when you use your volume knob, it's like the volume knob on an amp. The whole character changes.
Right.
You know,
right.
so
you're totally right. Great point.
Thank you. And with fuzz pedals, volume is greatly affected by your guitar volume.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
But that's a whole nother discussion.
That the volume knob is the most important tool for a fuzz pedal because, like, wide open,
it's pretty fucking fuzzy.
May sound pretty terrible.
Yeah, exactly. But you realize that back, and it's like, oh,
and it gets that spitty Velcro-y thing.
Yeah.
That's my favorite kind of fuzz. That.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know the classic unit that does that spitty Velcro thing, but whatever.
Yeah. I have a tone bender, an original one that I bought really cheap off Marketplace, and it does that zippy fucking thing. Oh man, it's great.
I need one. You should have brought that.
That's in LA.
Oh, you should have brought it to Nashville.
Mom, will you ship it to me?
Mom.
Yeah, that's
so my next question was, do you use compression live, but you've got a compressor on your board? I've seen you use it in our jam, so I'm going to presume that you also use it live.
I've been using it live, and one thing I find with it is that it has a dry blend, but I actually been using the dry blend off, so it's like super compressed, and I use it when I'm not playing really distorted. And for like the 90s country thing, it's amazing. And it actually helps your guitar like feed back in a really nice way and get really sustainy if you're really gassing a solo, like you're going full out.
But you're trying to like do that without like making it hairy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Sure.
So I let the distortion pedals make it hairy. I don't like the gain from the thing. I leave it at unity gain, fully wet with compression.
It's bringing all the harmonic content up.
Yeah, and like with the light overdrive, like it's not very good. It's either like perfectly clean or like added for like a balls out thing.
Side note, what amp are you using on the road?
That's a great question.
That is a
I'm
great
borrowing Randy's Victoria Golden Melody.
Ooh, dude, those are great amps.
Dude, it's fucking insane.
I used one on the road for a minute when I was playing for this guy who owned one.
Uh-huh.
And it was just the best.
Yeah,
dude.
I get compliments out the ass on that thing, and dude,
I don't know. I mean, I know that company. I haven't played that model.
What it is basically a tweed basement in a 212 format with the reverb from a deluxe reverb and some amazing tremolo.
It's a part caster.
More or less, yeah. Yeah. But
it's a custom shop spec build.
Yeah, but it's like a 212 tweed bassman.
So, speaking of pedals, what's your favorite one?
Of all time,
You have to pick one.
one pedal. Like a distortion pedal or like
It's like Desert Island situation.
and
You have an amp. You have a guitar. You get one pedal. What is the pedal?
Fuck me.
I don't know that pedal.
The fuck me overdrive. No,
That's a different podcast, man.
Sorry. It's probably not on this board. Oh my god. I'm such a pedal nerd. Like I've owned and sold so many pedals. But you know one that comes to mind is, and it can't be right. This can't be my Desert Island pedal. But damn it, the RC booster sounds so fucking good.
Classic. Great pedal, man.
I really love that damn pedal.
I've never owned one of those. I've played a couple back before.
I know what it is.
Okay.
I'm going to change my answer. It's a rat. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. Is that not cool? I was trying to be cool. I was going for it.
I don't want it to be cool. I want it to be the top of your head.
I would say the RC booster really stood out to me.
I think that's the right answer.
Yeah, man. Damn.
I think that's the honest answer.
Yeah. I mean, the rat is really fun. Like,
Why
I have
the
more
RC
fun
booster?
sometimes with a rat, and it's amazingly versatile and all that. You know, it just sounds so damn. It just makes everything sound better.
The RC booster.
Yeah, it's like it just takes your tone.
It's always on pedal.
It's always on pedal. I watched the Scott Henderson video where he ran it with no gain and all the volume, and then however the EQ was, and that was pretty slick, and I pretty much used it like that. The only other way I would really use it is with the volume and the gain at like 10 o'clock, which is I think is how like most guys use it.
Yeah.
But that like
a little boost, a little gain.
Yeah, but like the volume up, gain off thing.
I did gain almost all the way down and volume at probably like 2 or 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
So you did Scott Henderson light.
So yeah.
Scott Henderson, but not full.
But
not the full Henderson.
You did hesitant. You did Scott hesitant Henderson.
Scott hesitant. Yeah, he did the. Yo, but there's something about that blue light on there.
Is that what you did?
It's a great blue light and like the white, and it's so good.
I love the aesthetics of a good pedal build.
I did not Henderson.
Oh,
damn!
Woo 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 woo. That was the burn alert. Sorry.
That was badass, Lyndon. Damn, bro. Not Henderson.
Do you have a favorite venue?
Favorite venue.
Moving on. No,
yeah, seriously. House of Blueses are pretty cool, I guess.
House of Blueses.
They're all the same, right?
You heard it here first, kids.
I love the House of Blues, man. They have great live music there.
Technically, you love the House of Blueses.
House of Bruises.
Bruises.
There it is.
I used to be in a metal band. I've played there. So I don't know if anybody knows this, but you also play bass.
So,
jazz or precision?
Precision.
Trending.
He's a dick. Don't worry about him.
I have a fucking awesome P bass. I'm not a dick. My P bass is better than.
I will say, like, I don't know.
I'm not a dick. My P bass is better than yours.
I'm not a dick. Mine's
I'm
just
writing
better.
that in the quotes also.
That is good. Like, stop and
Pretty
quote
good.
that. Yeah, that was good. Well,
Pretty good. Thank me. Me? You? What?
Thank me?
I'm sorry. You had an elaboration about the P bass?
Oh, I just haven't played the jazz bass like almost ever. Never owned one, and just kind of went off the hype about P basses and Jamerson and how they're like the shit or whatever. But and when you say I play bass, like I got called to play bass like on Broadway occasionally, like very poorly, and like bass players like Patrick McIsaac would come stand in the window at me like with his
Patrick McIsaac.
Yeah.
Wicked Game.
Do you know Patrick? You must, right?
I don't.
Oh, he's a
I know Chris
Nashville cat.
Isaac. Wicked Game.
But he's like a great bass player, and I remember one time he just saw me playing bass. He was like, "Taking her germs." I was like, "Please come save me right now!" Like, just terrible.
That's the way I feel on most bass gigs.
Yeah. So I'm definitely no one to have a really solid opinion on P bass or jazz bass, but I'm just going to choose P bass.
I have 2 final questions for you, Mike Khalil of Los Angeles, now Nashville, formerly of Los Angeles and formerly of Nashville, now currently of Nashville.
Nailed it.
We have to hurry up, too. Off the top of your head, as quickly as you can regurgitate them, 3 desert island records.
Star People.
That's the Miles record.
Songs in the Key of Life.
Pretty good. Pretty good call.
And Star People, Key of Life, and some country record.
Come up with one.
Ernest Tubb and the Texas Troubadours. I don't remember the name of the record, but it's yellow, and they're all wearing yellow suits, and it's fucking awesome.
That seems easy enough to figure out.
Yeah.
My final question. Welcome to the King's Court here in the Gear and Beer podcast. You have to decide, Albert, Freddie, BB, Earl, or King's X. You only get one, and you must decide.
Well, it'd be between the 3 kings, as I've been going down.
I just mentioned 5 kings. That's why we call this the King's Court.
Oh, sorry. But the blues.
Or do you mean the 3
Albert,
kings
Freddie,
of Orient?
and BB? So I'm gonna go with.
We don't call them that.
I gotta go with BB, man. And Albert. Really, I kind of want to say Albert, but I'm gonna say BB.
Okay.
Like, because BB is just, to me, like, just, he's the king. If I'm talking about the King's Court for real, bro, I think everyone could agree that BB was just the man.
He was a man. BB King says a quote that I use the most.
What?
Which is, you don't pay me for the 2 hours I'm on stage. You pay me for the other 22.
That's right. And ain't that the motherfucking
If
truth?
it isn't, I don't know what is. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Khalil, yes, guitar player extraordinaire, steel player, musician, dude. Thank you for coming. Thanks for hanging with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
I just knocked my shit over. Lyndon McCarty, Twisting and Tweaking. Make sure you follow and subscribe. We will put links to Mike's social as well as all the links that I mentioned, plus or minus a couple that I forget or add. Until next time, Gear and Beer? I don't know where I was going with that.
Cheers from Gears and Beers.
Cheers and gears and beers and buys.
Thank you for listening to the Gear and Beer podcast. Make sure and subscribe and turn on notifications for our channels, and if you haven't already, follow our Instagram and YouTube channels. We truly appreciate your support and ask that you please tell anyone you know whom you think might be interested in our podcast about Gear and Beer to help us grow and continue bringing in great guests from around the industry and beyond. Thanks again, and until the next episode.